stood beside his mistress, smirking as he handed me divorce papers. "Finally, I'm done with you, sweetheart," he sneered. "I'm upgrading now. Go find someone from your own low level." Laughter erupted around the table. I smiled, thanked them all, and what I did next made their laughter die midair. I stood up. I straightened the napkin in my lap. I said, "Thank you, Ezra. Thank you all. Before I go, I have one small announcement." 12 people were at the table. Ezra's parents, his brother, his two closest friends and their wives, his mistress Renata in a red dress 2 sizes too small. My mother-in-law was already lifting her wine glass to toast the upgrade. I said, "As of this morning, Ezra is no longer the CEO of the company." The wine glass stopped halfway to her mouth. Ezra's face changed. "What are you talking about?" I said, "The board voted at 9 a.m. today. It was unanimous. You'll be receiving formal notice by courier tomorrow. Your access badge has been deactivated as of 6 this evening." Renata looked at Ezra. Ezra looked at his father. His father, who owned 12% of the company, was staring at me with his mouth slightly open. Ezra said, "You don't have that authority." I said, "I have 38% of the shares. My father left them to me when he passed last spring. You knew that. You just didn't think I'd ever use them." Ezra had come from nothing. My father had built the company from a single warehouse in 1978 and had made Ezra the CEO 7 years ago, 3 years after we got married, because Ezra was smart and my father wanted to keep it in the family. My father had also, quietly, watched Ezra during the last 4 years of his life. He'd seen things. He'd left me instructions in a folder. I hadn't opened the folder until 3 weeks ago, the night I found the text from Renata that started with, "When are you telling her?" Ezra said, "You can't do this over an affair. That's not how corporate governance works." I said, "You're right, but the affair isn't why. The affair is how I found the folder. The folder is why." I opened my purse. I took out a single sheet of paper. I set it on the table in front of Ezra's father. Kickbacks from 3 suppliers. Personal expenses on the corporate card totaling $400,000 over 5 years. A shell company in your name that's been overbilling the shipping division. My father's forensic accountant flagged all of it in 2022. He was going to fire you himself, but he got sick before he could. He left the file to me. The board saw it this morning. Ezra's father picked up the paper. He read it. His face lost color in the order of blood leaving a body. He looked up at Ezra. Ezra said, "Dad, it's not what it looks like." His father said, "You said you had it under control." I turned to Renata. She was very still. I said, "You're welcome to him. He'll be looking for work by Thursday. The house is in my name. The cars are in the company's name and they're being repossessed Friday. His personal accounts have been frozen pending the fraud investigation my lawyer filed at 4 p.m. Renata looked at Ezra like she'd never seen him before. "You said the divorce came with a settlement." I said, "The divorce comes with the papers he just handed me. I've signed them. He gets exactly what he came in with, which was nothing." My father wrote a very thorough prenup. Ezra sat down slowly in the chair he'd stood up from. His mother said, "Sweetheart, we didn't know. We had no idea." I said, "Marley, you've called me the placeholder at every family dinner for 6 years. I heard you last Christmas when you told your sister you couldn't wait until Ezra traded up. I'm not going to pretend I didn't hear you, but I hope you find peace with your son." I picked up my coat. I picked up my purse. I walked past Renata, who was already unlocking her phone with a shaking hand. I stopped at the door and turned back. The table was silent. The waiter had frozen with a breadbasket in his hand. I said, "Ezra, the papers you handed me were dated for last week. You had them drafted before our anniversary. You wanted to embarrass me in front of your family and your girlfriend at the same table. I know that because your lawyer's paralegal is my cousin Rosalind. She called me the day you filed. I've had 3 weeks to prepare for tonight. This dinner was the only part I couldn't control, so I let you have it." I walked out into the cold and my driver was already at the curb. I got in the back and closed the door and looked up at the restaurant windows. Through the glass I could see the table. Nobody was moving. Nobody was laughing. My mother-in-law's wine glass was still frozen in the air.